Students, in this video session, we will start with the fourth module, that is water government and water policy. So first we will study what is this water governance. Water governance refers to the political, social, economical and administrative systems that influence water's use and management. So this mainly tells about the different sectoral involvement where the political, social and economical systems that mainly influence in water users as well as the water management. Essentially, who gets water, when and how, and who has the right to water and related services and their benefits. So this water governance only mainly tells about the use of water, the rights, who is having the right to use the water and other related services and their benefits. Water governance determines the equity and efficiency in water resource and services, allocation and distribution, and balances water use between socio-economic activities and ecosystem. So in order to maintain the socio-economic activities as well as in order to maintain the ecosystem, this water governance is very essential, where the distribution, allocation and the water resource services are naturally used. So this water governance mainly includes governing the water, includes the formulation of water laws. That means the framework where some of the rules and regulations are set for the usage of the water, establishment and implementation of water policies. So once these rules are set, the establishment and the implementation of these different policies are to be done. Next, third one is legislation and institutions. So the role of different institution is also very important, as well as the participation of the government in case of following this legislations. Next, fourth is clarification of the roles and responsibilities of government. So the role of government is very important in properly or equally distributing the water in order to maintain the socio-economic activities. So the role and responsibility of the government is properly clarified. Fifth one is the involvement of private sector and civil society. So it is not only the government who is responsible for the use of water or for the management of the water. There must be equal involvement of both the private sectors as well as the civil people who are living in the society. So this is about the water governance. That is the introduction part of this water governance, which means to say that the use of water and management, it has to be carried out through some of the rules and regulations where some of the policies are implemented, and the role of government as well as the private and the public sectors or the civil people is very essential in following these rules and regulations. Next, we'll start with the topic called as legal framework of water. Means what are the legal framework which are mainly there for the usage of the water. So this defines and identifies the legal rights and obligations of public and private water users tied to water use and provides the perspective parameters for resource development and management to promote public interest. So in order to resource development and management, which is very essential for the public to live in the society, so this mainly checks the rights and obligations which are there for the public and private sectors. So this is having a framework where certain set of rules and regulations are there in making use of the water. So it also play an important role in management of water resources at the ranges from local, national legislation covering the domestic use. So these rules and regulations are common for all the sectors where the water resources management, it has to be done from the local level, also from the national level, where some of the legislations are to be included even in the domestic usage of the water also. Water use is regulated by a number of laws, rules and principles, which includes rights of control asserted by the government and the individual. So there are number of rules and regulations as well as the principles are there which are to be included in the water rights. As we have the rights to make use of the water, we also have the rights to follow the rules and regulations which are implemented by the government. Next is the framework includes a series of different, sometimes contradictory concepts and perspective ranging from sovereign and individual appropriation. So this framework mainly includes different types of concepts where there may be a contradictory aspects or some of the perspectives which are ranging from a single rule as well as the individual followers. So this legal framework ideally should deal with the entire water body all over the country's water resource, at least to a basin's water resource. So this legal framework, it has to work in such a way that the use of the water in a particular basin has to be maintained by certain set of rules and regulations in order to manage the available water resources. It should be transparent, flexible and capable of evolving to meet changing circumstances. So this set of framework or the rules and regulations in making use of the water or the policies should be in such a way that it has to be transparent, means it should be common for each and every stakeholder, which is flexible, and it has to be flexible in maintaining the changing circumstances. As and when the water scarcity or the water availability is changing, it has to be changed according to the circumstances. When changing or formulating policies, principles, it's important for national, regional or local government to adopt their local framed policies. So these rules and regulations may change from basin to basin, where the government can adopt their own policies for different basins depending upon the availability of the water. So this is about the legal framework of water, why it is to be done. So in order to manage the water in a proper manner, there must be a certain set of rules and regulations where each and every water user has to follow it, which is looked after by the government agencies as well as the involvement of private sector people. Next, coming to the another topic, that is the existing legal framework in India. So till now we have studied about the framework which is there for the water use. So there are certain legal frameworks which are done in India, and we'll see what are those. The existing legal framework, institution and decision making framework for water law in India, both at national and state level, is embodied into the following major act. So in order to preserve the natural resources, there are some of the frameworks or the legal acts which are majorly followed in India, and they are: the first one is Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, which was implemented in the year 1974. Second one is the Air Prevention and Pollution Control Act, which was implemented in the year 1981. Third is Environmental Protection Act, which was implemented in the year 1986. Forest Prevention or Conservation Act, which was implemented in the year 1980. Fifth is Public Liability Insurance Act, which was implemented in the year 1991. The last one is sixth is Environmental Assessment and Development of Projects, 1994. So all these acts were passed in order to maintain the available natural resources with having the social and economic balance in the ecosystem. So we'll see one by one what are these. The first one is Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act in the year 1974. The act was enacted in 1974 to provide the prevention and control of water pollution for maintaining or restoring the wholesomeness of water in the country. The act was amended on 1988 and finally updated in the year 2005. So as the name itself indicates, water prevention and control of pollution. So this act was mainly implemented in order to prevent the water pollution from different sources, and in order to maintain this water quality, the act was amended on year 1988 and finally it started implementing or updated in the year 2005. Second one is Air Prevention and Pollution Control Act, 1981. The act was enacted in 1981 and amended in the year 1987 to provide for the prevention, control and abatement of air pollution in India. So this was mainly implemented in order to control the air pollution. It all along has 50 sections. It states that source of air pollution such as industry, vehicle, power plant, etc. are not permitted to release particulate matter such as or like lead, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and other toxic substances beyond the prescribed limit level. So this act mainly tells about the release of the effluents into the air, where we make use of the different industries, vehicles, power plants, etc., which are mainly releasing the toxic gases into the air, which is finally polluting the air. So this Air Prevention and Pollution Control Act was mainly implemented in order to control the air pollution. Third one is Environmental Protection Act 1986. The act was enacted in the year 1986 with an objective of providing protection and improvement of the environment. It was amended in 1991. So it is our duty to control, or it is our duty to maintain the proper environment without disturbing it. So in order to have the proper environment, we need to care for some of the natural resources. So this act was mainly implemented with an object of providing protection and the improvement of the environment. Fourth one is Forest Prevention or Conservation Act 1980. The act was enacted to help conserving the country's forest. It strictly restricts and regulates the de-reservation of forest or use of forest land for non-forest purpose without the prior approval from central government, amended in 1988. So this act was mainly passed in order to maintain the forest or the conservation of the forest. So without having any permission, we cannot make use of the forest or the land, where it has to be properly maintained, and it is mainly the responsibility of the central government who gives the permission to make use of this forest resources. Fifth is Public Liability Act. An act to improve for public liability insurance for the purpose of providing intermediate relief to persons affected by accidents while handling hazardous substances for matters connected with incidential threat. So Public Liability Act was mainly implemented in order to provide the proper facilities for the persons who are accidentally affected by the hazardous elements during their working in the environment. Sixth is Environmental Assessment and Developmental Project 1994. This was enacted in the year 1994. This assessment concentrates on all the environmental consequence of plan, policy or program or actual project prior to decisions, actions. The term environmental impact assessment is usually used when applied to actual projects by individuals and companies governed by rules and regulations according to the procedure. So in order to conserve the environment, this environmental assessment and development project was implemented, where the decision actions are to be prior taken without affecting the environment. So this is about the different existing legal frameworks which are there in India.